I
Okay.
know.
After?
I think as long as we're recording, we're fine, Karen.
Okay. All set. We're recording.
Okay, so I will open up the meeting. It is 10:04. I'm going to call the meeting to order, and I would ask everybody to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
Pledge allegiance
to the
to the
flag
flag
of the
of the
United States
of America
and to the
and the
republic
republic
for which it stands, one nation,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible, with
for
liberty
liberty and justice
for all.
for all. Thank you. I'm going to turn the meeting over to our town administrator. I just want to remind all the department heads that are present that I will be asking after he speaks an update on their departments. So Mike, I'm throwing it to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm just gonna change my name.
What are you going to change it to?
My real name, I'm not the Board of Selectmen.
Oh, is that what it said? I didn't realize.
Yeah. Yeah, so just a few updates. As the board knows, at the last Board of Selectmen meeting, there was a discussion of employee vacation time and where we were this year, where we were trending in terms of town employees' unused vacation time to date in FY22. I'm sorry, FY21. And at this point, looking where the trends are in terms of available accrued vacation time, thankfully it seems as though this year we're in a much better place in terms of really living by the what we would normally do in a regular fiscal year in terms of abiding by and adhering to the provisions in the collective bargaining agreements for union employees, and then following the same framework and construct for non-union employees as well. So at this point, we're proceeding like as if it is any other year. Unlike last year, and going from there, we did get a memo out to all department heads and employees at the beginning of last week to that end, and the board is the Board of Selectmen is having a follow-up conversation on the issue tonight. But I have been in touch with union representatives. I have talked with our public safety departments as well, and everyone is everyone by and large is on the same page, and and agrees generally that that this construct and the construct that we typically follow as a town is definitely doable and achievable this year. But if anyone had any questions or feedback, the Board of Selectmen wanted to hear like any feedback go into tonight's conversation with any feedback from any departments. So if anyone has any questions on that. So hearing none, I will continue. We'll continue going forward, and and we'll discuss the memo that was sent last week, as the framework going forward at the Board of Selectmen meeting this evening. So moving on to agenda item number 4, um, like relates to town meeting planning. And just so everyone is attuned and we're all on the same page, we are planning town meeting for Monday, June 7th, in the auditorium at DR. Last evening, the Finance Committee finished making their recommendations for the operational budget and for the funding of special articles as well. And it was it's been a labor of love, this budget process. And I really want to thank everyone who has been a part of it, especially in the transitions that the town has dealt with as well. I mean, I think we have a budget that, is still very fiscally responsible and conservative, while also that meets the obligations and priorities that we as a town have going forward. So, so based on that and the conclusion of the FinCom recommendation process last night, the Board of Selectmen in their meeting tonight, we expect that they'll finalize the town meeting warrant and approve that so we can get the town meeting warrant out to print and continue on the way for special town meeting, special and annual town meeting. Just so everyone knows, we met, the town clerk and I, along with the health agent, the building commissioner, and the fire chief. We met at Old Town Hall last week to talk about the logistics and planning for the annual town meeting on the 7th. And, and did the counts in terms of the capacity with COVID protocols in the auditorium. And the capacity that we're operating based off of for the auditorium is approximately 160 people in the auditorium with social distancing and COVID guidelines being followed. And going through the trends of what prior town meetings have been in terms of attendance, that 160 number from what I've been told, I mean, we can reasonably, prior trends have been less than 160 people, I've been told, so that should be sufficient. Unfortunately, we don't have any overflow capacity in the gym that evening because of the condensed high school sports season, and the volleyball teams have games in the gym that evening. So we are planning and working out those logistics with the school, and actually have a meeting with the town clerk at the school to further discuss that tomorrow. But we're moving forward. Everyone agrees that 160 number would be definitely workable, and we have a fairly a light town meeting warrant as it stands right now. So that's how we're planning forward. And I want to really thank the town clerk, the building commissioner, fire chief, health agent as well, along with cable. So does anyone have any questions on any of the town meeting preparations, or again, I'm new here, as we know, so I want to make sure that I'm not missing anything, or I'm not frankly saying anything that's actually completely ridiculous either.
I don't have any questions.
Does anyone else have any?
Mike,
Nancy?
is Is the school allowing people to sit in the stands during these athletic events?
To sit in the stands, I am, to be honest with you, I'm not sure.
They playing volleyball inside or outside?
They're playing inside in the gym.
My only thought is, if there are spectators allowed, what time of the games, because we'll be checking people into town hall. If everyone's coming into that foyer, we probably need to get there early because they're not going to allow large groups to congest in that foyer between trying to check in and get into the gym. If they open the outside doors for the gym and close the, let's say, the inside foyer door, that would be helpful. To keep the people apart is what I'm saying.
Yes, Nancy, you're spot on, as usual. The one of the concerns the school has with the schedule of the volleyball games happening that afternoon is there are freshmen, JV, like in varsity volleyball games that span from 3 to 8 p.m. And as we know, that foyer is the main entrance, like in the congregating spot for the different teams, and the milling around that inevitably occurs as well. So going up to the school with the fire chief last week, we discussed the potential, and this is why we're going back to with the town clerk and the former town clerk tomorrow. We want to discuss the possibility of entertaining possibly another entrance and check-in for town meeting to keep everyone actually separate. But the logistics of doing so, I mean, I don't want to be oblivious to the challenges in the education, in the communication that we'd have to get out to do that. But that's why we want to have that conversation now well in advance to figure out if that's even a viable option, because I mean, I know just the tradition is everyone goes through those foyer doors for town meeting and then they go left. And that's what everyone's used to. And I understand reintroducing a whole other route, if you will, would completely throw people off. So
That's my thought, because there are, I'll say, several ways to get in and out of that gymnasium. If you were to close the foyer entrance, I mean, obviously there's emergency entrances and things, exits, and it wouldn't be for the entire time. If, for example, if they're going from 3 to 8, if by, let's say, I don't know, 5 o'clock, 5:30, the foyer door to the gym was closed, and everyone, if there are spectators or whatever, they could use those other doors. I mean, I would hope they're all going to park on the side, that driveway that's over near goes to the football field. Yep. And there's entrances, this thing there. That's another thing. If they were using those side entrances, we would not all be parking together, and that's another point of congregating, at least not as bad as the foyer, but I would think there's enough emergency exit doors that could be used to get to the gym for the time period when we're having the town meeting.
Yes, no, and I agree. That's what we're trying to work out, because I asked, just as an example, about the doors, like in that the gym doors that are closest to the foyer, just as an example, as a means of entrance and egress into the gym for the teams. But I was actually told those doors actually go right into the gym. Obviously, they go right into the gym. However, where they're located, they go right into the court, which anyone walking in would then interfere with a volleyball game. So those exactly is what we're trying to figure out and why we're going back there tomorrow afternoon.
Oh, Tom Ferry, are you there? I see your name. Tom, how did you get that big viewing platform into the gymnasium at Dighton, Rehoboth when we were there for that STEAM Expo a few years ago? Because I think you moved it in with some kind of a, I don't know, backhoe or some other thing. So how did you get it into the gym? What doors did you enter?
The door we normally go into town hall with. That first platform that we built, we included casters on it, so we just rolled it in. We didn't have to
Okay.
carry it or anything.
Okay,
And then
All
when
right.
we put it out in the field, we took the casting wheels off.
okay, all right. Thanks, Tom.
Are there any other questions about the town meeting?
This is Jonathan Gale. I would just remind anyone tomorrow, if you're looking at potential alternative ways to go in or where people might be, to keep in mind for people with disability who might attend. There may not be people in wheelchairs, for example. I know that doesn't happen very often, but it does occasionally happen. But more so, there are people who attend those meetings who need to have access to handicap parking and to be able to get into an entrance that doesn't have stairs or thinner doors in some cases, simply because they're coming with a walker, for example. So I would just ask you to please keep that in mind tomorrow when you're looking at alternative routes.
Yes, absolutely, Mr. Gill.
Thank you.
That has been part of our priority even last week with other conversations we had and talking about entrances that would work and wouldn't work.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Any other questions? Anything else, Mike?
Just there's been a bunch of other like issues that have been happening that we're all aware of. There's been like as Assessor Goulart knows, the Stormwater Committee has been especially active, which I'm sure she'll touch on. There are a bunch of issues that have been ongoing with that, and we are also, just to let everyone know today, actually this morning is the first time that we're all together, since actually the town accountant has actually he's resigning his position with the town of Dighton, but he's been extremely gracious, and he'll be with us through the end of the fiscal year on Wednesdays. And I want to just publicly thank him for all the work that he's done with all of us and with all of you over these last few years. And I thank him for the flexibility that he's provided to the town and helping us actually get through year end. So Chris, I think on behalf of all of us, I want to just really thank you for everything you've done for Dighton, and just really to wish you well as you continue on as well in the town of Raymond. So
thank you for the kind words. It's been a real pleasure serving the town of Dighton and working with all of you. I will miss you terribly. It's been one of the better job experiences that I've had in the last couple of years. Really appreciate the friendship and the professionalism of all the staff, and I wish everyone nothing but the best in the future.
Good luck, Chris.
Thank you. Thank you.
that is all I am, Mr. Chair.
Okay, so I'm going to ask all the department heads to just give us an update on their departments, and I'm going to start with one of our newest department heads, Mark Pacheco.
Hello. All right, so yesterday I went to Rehoboth's annual town meeting. I was invited by Laura, and I got to see pole pads in use. They're one of the surrounding towns that has pole pads, and I guess they had 189 residents show up, and I got to see their check-in process, and they had an overflow room, so I got to see how that worked and sit in it and see how all that went on. So it's good to meet surrounding town election workers and members of the community and just see their election process and get ideas for us. So that was a good experience yesterday. For our office, of course, we're working on getting election workers for our annual town meeting and preparing for that. The Board of Health did has set up a rabies clinic for this Saturday. I will be there 3 to 4 to license any dogs, as will Becky. So we'll have two people. I hope there's a good turnout. And other than that, I think we're just still, we're just working on refining all our processes, working on our dog tags, and we sent out a bunch of business certificate letters, and I think everything's going good at the clerk's office.
Good to hear.
Thank you.
Yeah, Mrs. Goulart, do you have any updates on stormwater or anything else you wish to bring up to our attention?
Yeah, I'll do assessors first. Excuse me. We're still discussing the pilot agreement for the Phase 1 Elm Street project. That was the one of the ones that got tabled a number of years ago. I think we've worked out the kind of language that is acceptable, but everything is going to be contingent on the proponent, DG Dighton, withdrawing their appeals for the first 2 years' tax valuations for that they filed with the Appellate Tax Board. But we're working that out, and the language for the article should address the concerns that they had. We're talking to people about a pilot for Brook Street, and I expect there'll be a potential pilot agreement proposed for the solar farm that will be up behind Arujo's farm. As far as stormwater goes, excuse me, we got another hang up with the Brook Street thing, and I've sent emails to Tom and Jim Agia to get some advice with their culvert thing is being delayed initially by the company that's precasting it. And now they're saying the gasoline shortage is another problem. So we're working through that, including suggesting some local contractors that do precast. We've been working with Mike and Lisa and other town officials relative to land disturbance on Winthrop Street along the Segregansett River. So there will be a Taunton Concom will be holding a hearing on that because Dighton abutters weren't notified. So we're keeping an eye on that, stay on top of that. We've had illegal dumping complaints on County Street, and they've hired an attorney. And the Tremont and Middle Street solar farms, I got an email that it's going to be delayed, the start of construction by 3 months. So I got to follow up with them to see if there's extensions needed or anything. But it sounds like a lot of holdup and delays, but actually, believe it or not, we are making progress. We are moving ahead. It's just that these things come up and they just pop up and you have to deal with them. So assessors will be meeting this Thursday, lower level town hall at 4:30. And we will be talking about a pilot agreement and then just doing some the usual routine signing bills or whatever else may be available.
Thank you, Mrs. Goulart. Carrie, Easter, you have any updates for the ZBA or the planning board?
Good morning. So
Morning.
I don't have a lot to update. We have a continuation of the public hearing for Forest Hills Estates next week. Haven't received any information for our request, so I'm still waiting on that. ZBA, there's really nothing new to report. I have a couple inquiries on applications for a special permit or a variance, but nothing received. So knock on wood, it's been quiet. The joining of the two boards so far, it's been pretty good. It's a little crazy at times. I was just counting out, like I like to give notices when I'm letting them know I'm taking a vacation. And instead of reporting it to 5 members, I'm now reporting it to 9 members. So that's a little, yeah, when they start responding saying, hey, have a great day, it's like, whoa. So that's about it though. I mean, it's been pretty, I'd like to say quiet. It's not really quiet. A lot of people call them with questions and whatnot, but a lot of inquiries on how to apply for things, but nothing really received. I did receive an application for a 2-lot subdivision, and it's actually just to wrap up a variance application from the ZBA side. So now we got it to finalize that. It's for Elm Street to do the subdivision on that. So that's going to come up on June 2nd, as well as we're having a public hearing for the warrant article amendments for the kennel bylaw for residentials, and also marijuana cultivation definition change on that on June 2nd. So that's about it.
Thank you, Carrie.
You're welcome.
Carrie, excuse
Yeah.
me, what's the date for that Forest Hills meeting, the next time?
That is May 19th, and we start at 6 o'clock.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Jocelyn, any update on the library?
We received a grant from the American Library Association for, it's a community engagement grant, and it focuses on small and rural libraries. So we're happy about that. We're still doing digital programming. We're busy. I'll be seeing you tonight to update you on news we got from the MBLC. In that I got it from a meeting that I attended. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Thank you, Jocelyn.
Thank you.
Alice Souza, any update for us? Alice, are you available to speak?
I'm here.
Okay, any update for us, Alice?
I'm looking forward to opening up. We decided that we are going to have Tai Chi, yoga, and exercise classes at the pavilion starting on May 28th. And they will be at 9 o'clock in the morning. I've already got the okay from Mr. Strandstrom to use the pavilion. And I've called the clients that had been coming before, and some of them will be returning my call, but most of them will be receptive to coming back. I'm looking forward to going back to Lincoln Village so that we can open up the daycare here. But I'm waiting from the okay from either the selectmen or the Board of Health or whoever it needs to be to let us get back to Lincoln Village so that we can start doing our other programs up there too. So we're looking forward to doing some more things. We're striding along slowly, but everything's working out okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Alice. Stacy, any update for us? I know you got the rabies clinic this Saturday.
Yeah, we have the rabies clinic, and this week I've had 2 calls from 2 different horse people that have been riding on trails and have had dogs come and attack their horses. I put a big thing out on Facebook about the leash law. I was wondering if the selectmen could also announce about the leash law, that we have one. It's been in effect for about 2 years. Because this could have been a lot worse. The dog could have gotten killed. The people on the horses could have gotten hurt. This woman, she does riding lessons. So that horse is not available for lessons for at least a week. So she's losing money on this horse. Plus she had to pay money for the vet bill. So we need to make sure people are more aware about our leash law.
Karen, could you add that as announcements for tonight and give that to me tonight when I go to the meeting? So I can mention this?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Stacy. Tom, you have any updates for us?
Yes, sir.
Thank
There we
you.
go. Yes, as you know, we're in a change of seasons. We're already into mowing the grass quite a bit, still continuing the building repairs, town hall. The mechanic's position is coming along very well. I think he's well settled in for a new employee. The side of the roads, mowing is gonna start happening soon, probably latter part of next week. We have some other larger projects coming up soon, helping out the Park and Rec and some other multiple things happening, as the Board of Selectmen know. I do have a question with the primetime scenario. It's probably more directed to Mike. We're considering revisiting a policy we have in place like we had for the H1N1. Is it possible to have a requirement to proof of the shot for the clients and the staff to run prime time?
That I have heard, that requirement, those type of requirements, I think, from what I understand, is a new frontier right now in terms of those conversations. Has Primetime received any information like from the state about public adult daycare programs and any guidance? Has the state issued any guidance like relating any to any of those aspects or getting those operations back into swing? Like when I talked to Allison Sheeler about a month ago, Mr. Ferry, that's what we were waiting on at the time.
Yeah, I don't expect guidance from the state at all, because when the pandemic started, they weren't expecting these places to reopen until after stage 4, which means the pandemic would be closing down. So I don't expect any guidance to that fact. But my question remains, is that like a violation with the HIPAA law or something like that to require that in the policy?
We can look into that for sure. I think it's a very timely question.
Yes, and the way the state's reopening is heading, I think it's going to be faster than September. It's probably going to be latter part of July, August. So we got to be ready for that, and now's the time.
If I can just add to that, there are some, maybe it's because it's a business, but the nursing home my mother's in, I can visit because I'm vaccinated, Chris is vaccinated, my mother's vaccinated. We're allowed to meet her in her room. However, if we weren't vaccinated, we would have to see my mother outside. So there are some rules set up already. That is a nursing home, so it's different. I get that, but hopefully the state has some standards that we need to open up a daycare or prime time.
No, it's one thing that you said you're vaccinated, but it's another thing for me to ask you to prove it.
Yeah, they did not ask us to prove it, quite frankly. So,
right.
Anything else, Tom, that you have?
That's enough at this time.
Okay, thank you, Tom. Jonathan Gale, any update on the ADA?
Not too much right now. We're still waiting to hear from the Architectural Access Board on our request for the variance for the ramp at Old Town Hall to the stage. I'm hoping we'll hear by the end of this month. I know their meeting last month was canceled, I believe. Excuse me, so they're behind and they only meet once a month. But hopefully we'll get an answer by the end of this month on that. We have begun to meet with the folks who are planning the community garden from the Scout troops, and we're going to be working with them to make that as accessible as possible. They want to do some raised beds, which I think is wonderful. They want to do, excuse me, some surfacing. My voice is going here. Some surfacing for people in wheelchairs and walkers, which I think is great. Also, Tom has been really helpful and involved in that. So thank you, Tom, for offering your resources and your your time and your equipment to help with that. If my voice can get better, that would be great. And other than that, we just keep on keeping on. We're going to be looking at a few other things in town to work on for grants and different possible projects, and where we want to start to begin to identify some of the things from the KMA report that we can start to address that are simple, shorter things sooner than later. And also thank you to the building commissioner and for the town administrator for including the ADA in on the planning for the town hall going forward. And hopefully that process will continue and we'll be fully involved. So that's all I have for right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Tom, is Lisa still with you? Mr. Ferry, you had indicated that Lisa was with you? Okay. I will go to the police chief. Chief McDonald?
Good morning.
Good morning, Chief.
Yeah, I just want to bring up, I'm not sure if people are aware of it, but Chief Al Pacheco passed away the other day. Al was served the town as an officer. He started in 1971, became a police officer in the town. He then became chief his last 3 years of his career, and before he retired in 1997. During, he was in the U.S. Army. And he went on to the National Guard for over 25 years before retiring his rank as chief warrant officer. I worked under Al, and he was a good man to work for. And his funeral will be Friday, so we have a few guys that are going to attend that funeral for the family. So I just want to let everybody know that about that, if anybody wasn't aware of it.
That's sad to hear. I worked with him when I was a probation officer, obviously years ago, but he was a decent man, and it's a loss to the town.
Yeah, he was the court officer, as you know, and for years too for the department. So yeah, it's Friday, so we're going to send some guys over there to help the family out.
Thank you for doing that. Tom, I saw that you went back on. Is Lisa with you?
Yes, she is. I answered you earlier. Evidently you didn't hear me. Can you see her?
No, I can't see her, but
Okay.
there we go. Lisa, any update?
Yeah, I do have an update. So Conservation Commission has been busy. We're in the process of moving my office right now. That's why Tom is parked in here, and so we have Strawberry Fields Estates been continued. They've submitted some information to us, and our review agent is reviewing it. I expect that to be continued again at our next meeting, May 20th. Long-built homes, we requested additional information and have not received it. I expect that to be continued till June as well. We have some new filings, which includes a request for determination of applicability from Mass Electric for some geotech evaluation along the B5, U6, and S8 transmission line. So we're going to look to drill some borings in there. They're going to utilize erosion controls and best management practices. Pretty straightforward project, but eventually they'll get to a larger project along that line of replacing poles and things. Then we have an RDA for the town of Dighton at the intersection of Beach Street and Pleasant Street, which Tom is leading up to try to mitigate some water issues happening over there on the street. And we also have a new notification from Brook Street Solar Level Design Group submitted construction plans. Those plans were not the approved plans by conservation, so I asked them to just file for administrative approval, and we can amend the conditions to include those construction documents. And I do have probably a dozen or 14 enforcement orders out there. So we've invited each one of those property owners to the meeting to discuss their plans to comply with the Dighton wetland bylaw as well as the Wetlands Protection Act. Other than that, working with the Stormwater Committee the best I can, and moving my office space. I'm too busy.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.
Jim Agia, are you on? Is that you on 774?
That is me.
Okay,
Yes, that is me, Mr. Chairman. How are you?
good. How are you? Any update for us?
Good. I do have just a couple of quick things. Hello, everyone. I just wanted to make you aware of what seems to be a little change in my department, which is ironic because we've been on a tear for many, many years. But I'm actually getting word from contractors that with the increase in construction costs, that some of them are actually pulling back, and there's even some who are looking at career changes. So it was kind of an odd discussion to have with certain people. So I mentioned in the past that, I thought that a slowdown would come. It kept getting kicked year to year, but I think we might finally be knocking on the door of some downturn with the cumulative place we're in with the water moratorium, the economic environment, the cost of construction materials. So I know that doesn't help local receipts. It certainly does help people who are concerned about development. It seems that we're going to have some kind of slow turn or downturn in the next couple of years anyway. Another milestone was actually, there's two milestones. The one is that we are now accepting online payments through the online permitting system, which was delayed for some time, but I'm ecstatic, frankly, that it's done, and it's been well used. It seems that just about everyone who applies for a permit online chooses to pay online. Just so everyone's aware, we negotiated excellent terms. The fees do not get, for the online payment system, do not get charged off to the town. They're passed through to the actual user. So we still get 100% of the proceeds for the permit amount. And then the second milestone, which is something I know Ken has pressured me on for a few years now, I finally have a suitable assistant, and I'll be writing a letter to the selectmen in the short term to appoint this individual, probably at your meeting at the end of this month or the beginning of June. It's been a long process, but I think everyone can understand and respect that that person that comes into my office that's going to take over some of the inspection responsibilities is an extension of me. And I needed to find the right person. So we've done that. He's actually works in Seekonk. I was on the interview process for his hiring in Seekonk. He's now certified. His certification has been ratified by the state as of last week. So now I'm ready to present that to the selectmen. So I appreciate everybody's patience and support in that process.
That's good to hear. Is there anything else?
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you, Jim. Is there anything else that somebody wants to bring up?
Yes, if I may, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Chris.
I have to apologize for my lack of social graces. I've failed to mention to everybody that we have a new assistant town accountant. Her name is Lisa Dadges, if you haven't met her already. She started a week ago Monday, and she seems to be fitting in quite well here in the accounting office. She's picking up the software quite easily. She's cranking through bills right now. So she'll have it presented for the board tonight to sign the warrant. And so I wanted to give her a warm welcome to everyone. I just wanted to catch everybody. I apologize if you folks have been waiting for your month-end budget reports, budget versus actual. I apologize. I know I'm behind. I think I've caught up to Mark as far as the end of March, but I'm in the process of finishing off the March reports. I'll report to you for March, and then I'll do the same again for the end of April, rather than just running a single report. I just think you'll find that it's much easier, for tracking on your own purposes to go 1 month at a time rather than the 2 month span, especially if you've spent, some considerable, if you've had considerable spending activity over the last 2 months. So I apologize for the tardiness in those reports. We're in the process of finalizing the budget for fiscal 22 for presentation of the warrant. I want to let all the department heads know that I'll share with them the final status of their own, their budget requests and where the TA's recommendation, the board's recommendation, and the finance committee's recommendation ended up in comparison to their departmental requests. And I'll try to circulate those out, hopefully before the warrant is actually printed for town meeting. Other than that, again, I just want to thank everybody for their patience, their friendship, their professionalism, and looking forward to the future and hoping that this pandemic, we can put it all behind us.
Thank you, Chris, and welcome aboard, Lisa. Anything else?
Just one thing really quickly, Mr. Chairman. I just want to, I should have mentioned earlier, but the Pure Oasis, which is a marijuana cultivating firm, which is going through the process for 620 Spring Street. Just really to let everyone know they are, and they do want to move forward, and they're looking to plan and schedule a community outreach meeting the first part of June to mid-June time period. So that is being actually scheduled with Pure Oasis as we speak, and we should have a finalized date very soon with them that we can get out to department heads and to the public as well. And that was and that process will run parallel to a process with a host community agreement process, which we're going to bring the Cannabis Advisory Committee back to work through that. And then the applicant will also need to go to planning board, I believe, for a special permit as well. I just want to let everyone know that that is coming back around. So, so to the very grim news that the building commissioner had mentioned about local receipts and permit and license revenues, hopefully we will have at some point some relief for marijuana, maybe in many forms. That's all I have.
Thank you. Anything else? If not, we can adjourn this meeting and we'll see you all next month. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.